Hello everyone and welcome to this latest episode of Before the Crowd. I'm really happy in this episode I've had the renowned vocalist Nadie Keating joining me. Nadie, who's worked 25 years in the music industry, recounts some amazing stories, what she thinks has changed and what is going to be happening next in the industry. We talk about her working with Brian Connolly, who was one of the biggest stars of the 1970s, rock and roll stories surrounding Brian, what led to his unfortunate death. Also, she talks about being signed and in collaboration with Island Records and Universal Music and everything that's led to this point in her career and the knowledge that she wants to pass on to new artists and also the fire that she wants to create in young female artists. Okay, welcome to the show. Worked in the music industry as a vocalist for a number of years. 25 years.
25 years, I have to say that louder.
Have you found a lot of changes in that time?
Yes, very much so. It's definitely moved from being a heavy sausage party to much more taco time. There's much more women players in the industry now, so there's still not enough, but it's getting there. The balance is moving more towards the 50-50. It's still not there.
Okay, because obviously working as a female vocalist, and there's, I'd say there's a tone, obviously women can get from their voices and potentially notes that women can hit that some men can't, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Do you find that you're called on because of kind of your vocal abilities, or do you think your gender plays a part in what calls you get for gigs?
I would definitely say that my gender has in fact held me back, would you believe it or not.
Okay.
Musicians that I was working with, particularly if you're looking at me being a teenager, and in my first foray into the music industry, aside from singing with my parents' band, which was not cool, a lot of the time they struggled to find a male vocalist, and they knew me, and they were like, oh, would you come and help us out?
Okay.
And so that's where I got, because they didn't want me. They didn't want a girl. They didn't want a female vocalist. They wanted a male singer. But they couldn't find one, and anyone they auditioned they didn't like and wasn't good enough. And then I think my first signed band I was in, the only reason I became their singer was because I think after about 3 months of auditions with varying different male vocalists, the rhythm guitarist turned around and went, this is bullshit. We already have a singer who's really good, and I don't know why we're looking for somebody else, because you think we need a male vocalist. And it took 3 months really for me to find my place within that band, even though I'd walked in there and owned it pretty much from the start, and I'd been invited to join that band because I sung with a guitarist in another band. So my guitarist used to wear glasses. This is back in the day before I actually couldn't see very well. And he always wore glasses. And just as we'd play, they'd slide down his nose and he'd get very sweaty. And I just thought, one of these days, I'm just going to just push it up while he was in the middle of playing. And I weirdly chose the one day that we were on at a venue where the whole stage was live.
Okay.
So there was everything that we touched. What I did was, I was live, Cog was live. I reached over, I pushed up his glasses, connected the current, and electrocuted him right between his eyes, and electrocuted myself. We both went flying back on stage. So,
really? You actually shot?
Yeah. We didn't shoot back like, like Hollywood, like
Yeah.
Marty McFly at the beginning of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
But, I jumped back a good couple of feet, and, you had the little tremors after as the electricity still firing through you. So we were actually just in the preliminaries of being signed to Island Records, and then we were all, going through, where everything goes to solicitors and deals and contracts get sent. So that's where we were. That was the situation we were at. And then the guitarist announced that he was in love, and he was going to leave the band.
Okay.
And so there we were, just grasping, just within reach.
And they got taken away because...
Yeah, because I think we were quite young as well. I don't think we knew how to replace
Okay.
You know, he was also the main songwriter, and although obviously I wrote some of the songs, he wrote the ones that the main bulk of what we had. So if he went, he took the songs with him, and then we seemed to be unable to get ourselves organised enough. We couldn't think of another guitarist to hire at sort of the 11th hour. So
how old were you when this happened?
I was about 18, 19. I was 19.
So really young to the industry.
Yeah.
No. Well, no, you said, I say prior experience, but you said like you sung like with your parents, and so you're always involved in live music then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, I went through that awkward, crappy teenage phase. You know, where people bully you at school and they tell you you're terrible, and you listen to them for some reason.
Okay.
And then, you know, I stopped singing for a few years because, you know, I was terrible, but they all needed me for a class project when they needed to win a prize or something.
Yeah.
You know, those people, those lovely people.
So what brought you back to singing then, after you took a few years off?
The acting route, weirdly, actually. I was always a frustrated actress.
Okay.
And I loved being fairly dramatic, and I ended up getting a role in a musical.
Oh, okay, great.
And obviously it was a singing part, and I obviously got hired because I'm not stupid. I know I've got some element of personality.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
And I can sing. I can sing. I don't think I was as good then as I am now. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Says,
no, but you've obviously progressed over the years.
It's a brave statement.
No, but how old were you when this happened? When you were in the musical?
16.
Okay, so since you were 16, everyone hopes they've improved since they were 16.
Yeah. Oh, but my pitching much better. I've actually got, because I'm old, I've got cassettes of me. Not wonderful.
But they're great to look back on though, and you see your progress.
Yeah.
And I say this to people all the time because they have a lot of issues with themselves. And I was like, well, if you record yourself now, just 6 months time, a year's time, if you really work at it, you're going to see this progress.
Yeah.
But sorry to deter from that. So
you're right. I use that as a teaching tool all the time. I say, you know, today is today, but 6 months from now is
you'll be completely different. Yeah.
Completely different artist. I'm very different 20 years down the line to who I was.
So what musical were you in then?
Oh gosh, so this is one of those really embarrassing things.
Great.
So I did do a lot of little acting jobs, nothing really of any note, but I was on some terrible TV shows, and mostly just as background or what's it they call them, where you're a featured extra.
Okay, so you have like 1 or 2 speaking lines, or
not always, sometimes, but it doesn't mean it always gets broadcast. You'll only earn the featured extra thing if you actually get broadcast.
Okay,
it's a very big. Otherwise, you're just an extra,
right,
so you get an extra fee. It's only if it gets broadcast. So for most of the time, you know, I was on Minder and Grange Hill, and you're too young to probably remember those shows.
No, I remember Grange Hill. I got to dig that up. You really on Grange Hill?
I was on Grange Hill. I was on the bill as well.
Of course, right.
Minder, the bill in Grange Hill, it's the rite of passage for anybody in Britain. We all go through.
It's what you go through to get to the next, yeah.
Yeah. So I was on those things, and then because of that, then there was a musical. I should also add, I seem to be knocking always at the door of things that are going to be good, and then there's failure on the cusp, on the horizon. So I did this musical. We went into pre-production, and then I think it didn't have enough money to be back. I think it might have been a bit like Springtime for Hitler. I genuinely think that they thought this is a really good idea. Let's hope it closes on the first night and we can cash out all the checks.
Okay.
And the song the musical was based on. I'm so embarrassed. This is going to be public knowledge. Where's my shame? Where are you? Kick in, please. I need you. The musical was called Bernadette.
Bernadette.
Okay. It's
Okay.
based. I have a Catholic mother. I'm very sorry. It's based on the appearance of the Virgin Mary at Lourdes.
Oh, great. And did you who did you play in this?
I was one of the Fatima, the sister. I wasn't going to be Bernadette.
Okay.
I was going to be Fatima.
And what did Fatima do? What was her role in there?
She got appeared to. No, not Fatima. No, was I Fatima? Actually, don't think I can remember her name. I'm saying Fatima. My brain went Fatima. I don't think that is it, actually. I can't remember my character. Because the thing is, we went into pre-production for things, and it was going to be shown at the Dominion Theatre, and then it literally just folded. It just...
Oh, wow.
Cash ran out or something. Or someone came to their damn senses and went, this is a shit idea. No one gives a toss about a tiny girl from a village in France who the Virgin Mary appeared to, and now the water's holy. No one gives a shit about that stuff.
That sounds like, when you put it like that, I would go and see that play.
You wouldn't.
But I would, but I envision it as a comedy, as a parody of itself.
No, it was really serious. in the same way that Jesus Christ Superstar is still really serious.
Come on, that's not going to be... I've seen that. It's a few years, but I've seen that play. I've seen that show. Because at the end when he gets...
It's a surprise. Don't spoil it for people.
Yeah.
You know? No one knows what happens to Jesus. You're going to ruin it for them.
Yeah, I know. Spoiler alert. But when he's elevated at the end, or at least in the production I saw, and they're all... it depends on the budget, I guess.
No, generally this gets some cash thrown at it. I think this is where the Bernadette people were thinking, if Jesus can do it,
we can do...
we can pull off the whole lonely sheep herder or whatever the fuck.
So did you tell your Catholic mother that you
were...
No,
my mother actively wanted me to do this role and was actively pushing me for it.
Because it was a serious, a tribute to...
But it's Bernadette and it's the Virgin Mary. You want her, come on. And I was just sort of like, I had so dialed out of religion by the time I was 15, 16. I refused to make my poor Catholic mother happy by doing my confirmation, and I denounced I was an atheist, and I was telling the priest at school to bugger off, and I wasn't getting anywhere near the Catholic Church. They turned their back on the Jews and go and screw themselves. Apologies to Catholic people, but that's my obnoxiousness at 15 was allowed to be like that.
No, but I mean, I can see her sat wearing an AC/DC shirt. I just imagine 15-year-old you blasting Highway to Hell.
Definitely 15-year-old me was a grunger, so I had blue hair, the nose ring. I was I was not engaging. I'm Generation X, so we are very much whatever. Do you want to make this? No. But if you don't make this, you'll never ever get married. Oh well.
Yeah.
That's kind of, And so when the musical fell through, I was pleased. I actually was.
So you didn't want to do it?
No. No, because I knew it was going to be rubbish. And the thing is that by that point, I'd discovered grunge, and grunge was like the anti-hero. It was more like, this is ridiculous. It sort of looked at all the... I know you like some of the bands I'm about to diss, but, it was looking at the likes of, Poison and stuff like that, just going, it's ridiculous, man. Gotta stop.
I mean, the thing is with Poison, they...
Terrible. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if they're nice people or whatever, but of the bands that came out of that era, I think there's better ones.
Oh, agreed.
And there's ones that I gravitate... I mean, part of my upbringing put me towards 70s and 80s kind of glam rock, hair metal bands, because that was what I was brought up listening to. But never Poison, just the reverb, stadium snare on the records, it just that... for me, it always sounded like they were trying to be Bon Jovi.
Badly.
Yeah, and it was... Okay, that's still a household name pretty much however many years on.
Yeah.
So I guess we must have done something right. But I just always felt like there was better bands at that time.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. There were probably far more exciting and better bands at the time. But for some reason, we got Poison. And I think you get what you pay for, don't you? You get... And it should be mocked. You should have Bill and Ted, recite, every rose has its thorn. And, And it should be mocked for what it is, because it's not very good. And I think that grunge just basically flipped the tables in the restaurant, and it so totally needed to. And it was unfortunate for a band like Extreme, because they really were good, and they weren't Poison. And unfortunately, they came too little too late.
Yeah.
So then when they were trying to absolutely carve their niche, they just looked like a slightly better Warrant.
Yeah. But even Warrant only had Cherry Pie.
No.
That was the hit.
No.
That was the hit, though.
That was the hit, but...
Was it 2 albums?
They had 2 albums, yeah. They had a couple... I mean, it depends. They had 1 hit over here, but they had a couple of hits somewhere else. But yeah, still, their time had come. It was done. And it needed to have that. And I think, rock has always needed a good kick up the arse. Bishop Brennan style. It needs it, because it has to be done.
It's a great reference, yeah.
But this is the thing. It's sort of appeasing my mother by doing some ridiculous religious musical where the songs were just really poor was not really where I was. And where I was very much, dialing into those more morose lyrics and, you know, exploring more of my creativity. And it was a big leap away as well from being a little metalhead as well, you know, from like listening to Megadeth and Metallica and, you know, and Guns N' Roses and all those things. It was transformative.
So were those your kind of earlier influences as a vocalist? Or just as a, in general?
My biggest influences, really, weirdly, as a vocalist, I think it's been one of those unusual things for me, is that my number one love has always been Kate Bush.
Okay.
And I absolutely, still to this day, I get, like one of my students this morning did a Kate Bush song. I'm very excited. I like, someone likes Kate Bush. Yeah. I genuinely like this 3-year-old me who pestered my mum, can we buy the Kick Inside in Woolies? And I've still got that album. You know, I'm very happy. I've got a copy of Wuthering Heights on 7-inch single. I collect vinyl now, so it's acceptable. But back then, you know, these were the things that I asked for. I was slightly conventional in that, you know, most 5-year-olds wanted a Tiny Tears, and I wanted a Tiny Tears too, but I also wanted the Babushka single because I absolutely love that as well. We love
it. Is there a big difference between what female artists will go out and wear and act like today as compared to back when you started gigging?
I think girls are a lot more able to wear what they want. I think there's definitely, particularly in the last couple of years, there's been a real big movement with trying to not body shame people, so that actually girls of all shapes and sizes, because we aren't all one size fits all. And I think that's kind of quite good, you know. I think there were times, if I look back on me, when I had some junk in the trunk, I was very thin, but, you know, there were times when I used to drink beer at one point in my, you know, beer is just basically liquid calories, isn't it? All alcohol is, but beer really is. I think I gained myself a rather fetching beer belly.
Okay.
And it's the 90s, so I still used to wear crop tops and things, and, you know, people will come up and actively tell you you're too fat for that. I don't think that exists anymore. Wow. But I don't think it's gone. That's the thing, unfortunately. I think for women, if you are on your own, going to get, I'm still not safe, even though I'm now so old and so unattractive and so utterly unapproachable, that I still get guys who actively come up and pester me and, you know, give us a kiss, love. No, I'm not giving you a kiss, you dickhead. Wow. You know, so these things, this is still something that's very prevalent that exists in the music industry, and I don't genuinely think we do enough with women.
We've got to change this approach to women in music, and how, not only how men treat them, but how women are allowed to react to men, and they need to have this instilled in them from a young age. That's what you're saying. I'm
saying that women need to be a damn sight more angrier than we currently are. So women really do need to tell people to fuck off.
Okay.
And I'm really very, very passionate about that, because I actually think that we have for far too long, and particularly my mum's generation, they just accepted stuff. And she says that. She looks at me and goes, well, back in my day, you know, we weren't allowed to do those things. If I'd have spoken back to your father, he'd have beat the shit out of me. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, he would have gone to sleep one night, and that would have been his final sleep if he'd ever have done that to me. I genuinely don't think that my mum's generation, because I can only really rely on her generation, because she's the generation before me, I guess. I'm the generation before you. And I just think that they just accepted a lot of fuckery that just, for me, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that at all. I wasn't going to take it when I was younger, and I'm not going to take it absolutely now that I'm older and no one gives a shit about me. So now I really can say these things. But I just think that we need to be raising women that write their own songs, if they do. This is it. If they are an artist that creates, that they don't walk into a studio and have a male turn around and go, no, I'm going to do this, and have someone feel that it's his right to be able to take over the artistry and the arrangement of her song. And because what will happen is that we find ourselves voiceless because we feel like we can't communicate. Actually, I don't really like that. No, it's my song. So
they need that independence to say, this is me, I'm the artist you've hired, let me be an artist.
I had my record deal, so I actually did have a record deal, by the way. The Island thing was a near miss, but I actually did get signed.
Okay.
And I had an album, and, you know, things were all going very well, but unfortunately what happened during that time was it's a very weird anomaly, and it's probably listed on my website. But basically, my dad died, and I'd had a bit of writer's block up until that point. I'd been in a bit of a disastrous relationship, and that person cheated on me, and then literally that relationship ended, and my dad died within I think a couple of months.
Wow.
So it was a lot to take on, and I'm genuinely going to say that it's very unpleasant for people to hear, but it's great for songwriting, that stuff. It's brilliant, because it just gives you stuff to write about. Because if you're happy, no one gives a shit that you're happy. No one wants to hear about happy stuff.
Well, that helped your writer's block, having those events.
Literally writer's block. I mean, within days of my dad dying. My dad died on a Saturday, and I started penning songs on the Tuesday. And even though I sat in a darkened room for 7 days, and I didn't talk to anybody, answer the phone, do anything. Anything I did literally was walk my dog and feed my dog. I didn't deal with any other element of my life. I sat and I wrote. And I had these songs, and I'd had songs that I'd nurtured, that I'd taken with me through other bands, and then I was given an opportunity to so it's a very convoluted thing. So basically, I was asked to sing this ridiculously terrible pop song for this record label. The song was horrendous, like it was very, very bad.
Okay.
And as a session vocalist, I had no problem singing it, because I am a shameless whore who will work for money. But as an artist that has to sign my name to something, I absolutely wouldn't be within 12,000 miles of it.
Okay.
And so what happened was, as I'd done that before my dad passed, and the record label called me in, and he was sort of like, the session went really well. I mean, because the other thing as well, he'd offered it to me and 2 other singers, and I'd gone in being a professional singer. I'd done it in under an hour. I'd done it in 45 minutes. That was my job. That's what I do. My job as a session vocalist is get in, get out.
Great, yeah.
You know, leave no fingerprints. The other girl who he gave it to spent an entire afternoon on it, and the other girl, who was really gorgeous looking, she just was a disaster, car crash. She spent the entire day. They got a third of it in tune, the rest had to be auto-tuned.
Not what you want from a session vocalist then.
No, but I think what he wasn't clear about was that he actually wanted to develop an artist. He wanted to release a pop singer.
Okay.
And I think he'd seen me sing, and he thought, well, you know, because I also get that there are elements of my voice that could be poppy. If I was so inclined, I would have absolutely have made it. Probably wouldn't be started talking to you anyway.
You'd be on top of the world as
I'd be in the jungle eating some kangaroo testicles, because I'd be desperate. But luckily for me, I'm not that person, and I have some ethics, and my ethics have kept me sufficiently poor. And I love Bob Streisand.
Okay.
Alright? And I'm really good with stuff like that. But I also really love Slayer. And I love Lamb of God.
Great.
And I love Guns N' Roses. And Guns N' Roses were the definitive turning point for me, because up to that point, I think I was a bit, you know, like most 80s kids, I was all like, yeah, everything's great. 'Cause it was a real mixed bag in the 80s. But once I heard Appetite for Destruction, I was like, what now? What's happening now? This is good. I like this. This says something about me.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously they were very dangerous, very exciting, and upset my mum immensely. So I was double thumbs up.
No, I was saying, when I heard that album, it was a turning point.
Yeah, turning point for me, really. Because up to that point, huge Madonna fan. Still a Madonna fan.
That's a big jump on...
It's a massive jump.
Yeah.
It's a massive jump to go from Kate Bush and Madonna and... You know, I was quite lucky. I had quite a lot of female singing role models as well, so like the Eurythmics and Cyndi Lauper and stuff like that. There's some really amazing singers in the 80s. I was blessed.
Singing Cyndi Lauper is hard as a vocalist. I've seen people attempt it, and it's...
They need to... They love... No, no, it is. I love it. But, you know, I can agree with you. She's a very amazing musician as well. So she's more than the sum of her parts, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, so to have that whole thing... I could have easily have done it. I just didn't want to. And so when he called me in and he was, we're going to make you a real big pop star. It's going to be this, and I'd be like, oh, fucking hell, you and everybody else who I'd met. And I'd already been down and sat with Don Arden, you know, Sharon Osbourne's dad. And he tried to put me in a pop group. He'd come and see my gig. When he literally come to about 4 or 5 of my gigs, he was begging me, please, come along, we want you to play in a band. And I was like, And then he got me one day after I'd had a tooth extraction and I was high off my face on Novocaine. So he was like, will you come down? I was like, yeah! Never remembered, but luckily my mum was there going, you agreed to meet somebody in 2 days. I was like, shit, did I? Which is a whole other funny story. But there was just all of that opportunity to go into the world of commercial pop, and I just didn't want it. That's not what I wanted to say. I didn't feel that that's anything for me. So when I sat there with this record label and he'd mocked up, oh my God, a CD, like a CD single cover, and he was like, we would really love to release this. And I was like, oh, fuck me, no.
What was wrong with it?
Everything.
Okay.
I was good. Everything else was fucking terrible. The song was bad. It was trite writing. It was just shit.
What was the song called?
So High. It was just shit. And the evidence of it was that where is that song now? If it was such a good song, somebody else would have snapped, the record label would have snapped the bloody hands off for it.
It would have got taken on, still would have been a hit, yeah.
You know, it is not Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. This is not a song that started off by being something and then became a pop hit. No, the song was truly terrible.
Okay.
And I think at that point, that record label guy had sat there and gone, well, what do you want to do? And I went, well, actually, I have my own songs. So I sat there and, I played him a couple of the songs. You know, as I said, the tap had the faucet had opened. The tap had opened, and I actually had some stuff to say. So sat and played him some of these songs. And actually, one of them was also truly fucking terrible as well, that the Eurovision have been interested in. So just to give you an idea of how terrible it is. Oh, maybe cut that bit out. Just in case.
Okay, we'll take my bit.
You might have to shut it down.
Okay.
And he was like, "That's really good." He said, "I'll give me." He said, "I'll give you a week." He said, "Come back with a few more songs." And then I just spent a month, and I thought, "Now, fucking spend a month, and I'll actually, put some more effort into these." And at that point, I think I needed somebody to help me draw out some of the more musical elements within the song, and I know my limits. That's the one thing I think I know. But this is where we come back to that not standing up for the things that I believed in. So I'm a friend of mine, amazing musician, and he is amazing. And I do not regret for 1 second writing and working with him. One of the greatest things I've ever done. But when we went back to the record label, and with instead of 3 songs, 10 songs,
yeah,
and we were pretty much good to go at that point, and he was like, "Great, I'll sign you."
Wow, just like that.
Just like that. Which isn't that's how it's supposed to go, right?
Yeah.
The songs are there. I'm fucking awesome, and Joe's fucking awesome, so we're fucking awesome. And it was supposed to be me. And at that point, having been in several bands that had folded for one reason or another, I'd finally come round to I didn't want to be a solo artist. Now I did, and that was when the record label were like, "We think you two should be a duo. I think you should be like the next Eurythmics. There hasn't been a duo in years." And literally, as we were releasing, the Ting Tings were releasing, which were a male-female duo. And it was just things like that. And it was really weird. I didn't want to be part of a duo. I wanted to be a solo. My band was called Nadie. It's stupid. That doesn't make no sense. That's fine if you're Van Halen.
Right, yeah.
You can be Van Halen because Van Halen wouldn't exist without Eddie. But Joe didn't really need me. I needed Joe. It was a very different thing. I don't know, very much at that point I did not want to be a duo. I remember the label boss sitting me down there and going, "You two need to be a duo." And for him it was a business thing because he would pay Joe slightly less. And having to give him the full producer stuff, you see?
Okay, so there's always some reasoning behind these, because they're going to market it as this is best for business, this is best for you, but really it's them saving costs.
Yeah.
Which is the nature of the beast, I guess, with record labels, I mean.
Yeah, it's music industry. If they're not fucking you, they're fucking you and you don't know about it, So, it's like the entity. Someone is sneaking in there and grabbing your bits and we don't know who it is until it's too late.
But this was back when record labels had more power. And that was like the thing to do was to get signed, whereas now no one cares so much about getting signed. I think there's something to being signed and it's kind of weight of your words when you're like an unsigned artist. But what's her name? One of the latest pop artists, she's got something like 22 million hits on YouTube right now. Just her and her brother.
Billie Eilish. Yeah.
Thank you. In a bedroom.
Yeah.
Completely produced.
Yeah.
Her and her brother in a bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine something like that happening 20 years ago?
No, but then you wouldn't have had Daniel Bedingfield if it wasn't for that, Cubase. and his bedroom.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, so it's not like the music industry wasn't capable of it. I think the music industry. I mean, if you look at Kate Bush as being one of those very innovative artists, you know, she came off the road and went, nah, fuck this.
Yeah.
And then decided to build her own studio because she didn't want to be controlled by EMI. And this is the one thing. If she had been a man, EMI wouldn't have forced her to not use her own band. This is the band that she played with for 5 years. She was used to them. They were used to her.
The band I'm playing in right now, they got offered a record deal just before I joined the band. And the label said to them, they said, okay, you got to drop these 2 band members and we're going to replace them with session guys. And they went, no, we're not doing it. We're keeping our own musicians. And the label went, okay, bye.
Bye, yeah.
And then consequently that didn't work out, which is how I ended up joining the band. But some people will, it is the big, it's standing up for yourself, which I kind of going back to what you're saying about female artists, it's being angry, it's saying no to people. Yeah. And learning how to stand up for yourself.
And learning how to stand up. But look, I have to emphasise this, it's not just yourself. It's your artistry. So it's all the elements of it. When the record label turn around to somebody vulnerable who's probably got some body dysmorphia and some mental health issues, some anxiety, things like that, tells them, you're too fat. I remember Universal sitting with me and going, we will sign you. Because I wanted one of my songs for Avril Lavigne, just the whole other story. And I was a size 10. I've really only gained mass as I've got older, because of being older and lazier and the other things, the drinking.
Liquid calories,
right? The liquid calories, said, you know, liquid potato, isn't it? But I remember being thin, and I was fit, and I was a dancer, and, you know, I used to run 6 miles a day with my dog. Because that dog needed to be run, otherwise he'd hump things. And he was big. You couldn't let him hump things. One day you will be the thing he will hump. Okay,
so you've got to keep him exercised.
You keep that boy exercised. You know, he's no balls, but he'll give you a really good run for your money. But 6 miles a day, you know, listening to Queens of the Stone Age and stuff, was a great album to run to, incidentally.
Yeah.
To turn around and say to me that I'm not thin enough. You need to hit the gym 6 days a week. You're too round. You're too big. I was a size fucking 10.
That's what you were faced with. You're too big.
You're too big.
At size 10.
At size 10.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Having been a size 8 prior to that and been told by my previous label I was too thin and I needed to put on weight because I actually just looked... It's not Karen Carpenter, darling. We don't need to look like Karen Carpenter. And then that deal ended, and then, as I said, I was approached by Universal.
But you can't win.
You can't win as a woman. And it's that needing to tell people to fuck off. Because actually, I'm not chattel. I'm not here to serve you. Okay? Because a guy can be ugly, and his breath can stink, and he can be fat, and he can be jolly well unpleasant. And yet he can be fine to be all those things. But a woman, the minute she turns 29, you're unfuckable. You know, you are old now. It's time for you to move on to the jungle where you can eat some kangaroo testicle and cry over a spider being put on your face.
Right.
I'm assuming this is what happens on that programme.
Apparently they can't eat stuff anymore because of animal rights.
Brilliant. Because the animal no longer owns that penis, but therefore it still does have a right for you to not eat that penis. I mean, you know.
But that's where the careers for so many people go.
Yeah.
Sometimes it weirdly rejuvenates someone's career, which I never understand.
Yeah,
how that works.
Now you're now famous for a whole generation of people for eating some form of animal genital.
Yeah.
Which is...
Because that's all you see, and like, you watch it with, like, if I watch it with my parents and they're like, oh, this person was this great personality back in the 70s, I'm like, I just know what he's eating, I don't know his career or his CV. I completely agree.
I mean, I honestly can tell you I've never seen that programme not once in my life. But because I don't watch telly at all, which also makes me, you know, I'm still very, very, very grunge, I like to think.
Okay.
I'm still telling everything to fuck off because no one gives a shit.
Is that what grunge is to you? Is that the you don't want to be, like, you're kind of segregating yourself by not watching TV, it's the fuck you attitude?
No, I don't watch TV because they're not intellectually stimulating me, so I'm not going to give the BBC 100 whatever the fuck it is a year.
Yeah.
To not do that. I'd rather pay Netflix.
More choice.
Yeah, there's great stuff on Netflix. So for me, it just comes down to it, really. It's I opted out of TV, I think, around about 2004 and never really tuned back in. I've missed a lot, I guess. But fundamentally, once they started flushing society with the toilet of reality TV, I was like, you know what, I'm good. I'm really good. Gives me more time to sit and focus and write and create, and I'm fine with all of that. But
once you take kind of those elements of media out of your life, it does leave a lot of room for other stuff.
A lot of room. And this is that thing, you know, I guess my idols being people like Kate Bush and Joni Mitchell have never really played to the fiddler's tune. They've really only ever done what they wanted to do. And they're fortunate enough to be geniuses. This is the thing I've had to realise, is that I'm not a genius.
You're not a genius?
It's fine, I'm fine with it. It's sad.
Well, how did you get to a realisation that... Well, you said, like, you're not a genius. Joni Mitchell was. What prompted that change in your thinking?
I think that... I don't know. You know, for Joni Mitchell, for me, definitely it was that realisation that as I got older, she wrote Both Sides Now at 21.
Okay, so once you hit that age...
I just went, I've not done anything that is as profound as that. And I think Kate Bush has done that as well. I'm not saying that should be the measure of, I'm a genius, so I wrote something very profound. Because a lot of twats have written some profound shit too. Everybody can get lucky every now and then if you give them a typewriter for long enough. But I don't know, I just think they were just born to make a difference.
But I think even that and that approach, I think, shows how kind of females are indoctrinated, because you compared yourself to someone at 21, whereas you look at, like we mentioned Metallica earlier. I mean, I know James Hetfield's in rehab now, but what are they, 50 something, 60?
Yeah.
And teenagers look up to them and be like, oh, yeah, or like, you know...
They're shopping on Rodeo Drive. They're absolutely not the thing they were. And for those of us that went on that journey with them, we look at them and go, you fucking kidding me? You're crying because someone stole some money from you on Napster. And I get the need to hold on to your music. But those guys were such massive dicks about it. I really, with the whole Napster thing back in the day.
Well, it was more Lars, wasn't it? Because the fans turned on them, and I remember seeing all the like Metallica fans like in the street, like, you know, crushing the CDs underfoot, like, we're never listening to them again. That's it, we've had it. And then people are going, we're going to go listen to Megadeth. It's like the alternative.
Like old mumbling Dave Mustaine hasn't been a giant penis in his existence as well. But this is the other thing. Dave and James and Lars are allowed to be a massive, great big, you know.
They started thrash. They have a right to it, I think.
Are they? What gives them a right over Kate? What gives them a right over Britney?
Well, that's a good question, I think. But
why can't Britney carve her own? I mean, she got very fucking interesting 10 years ago. She shaved her head. She started hanging around with a guy who was clearly not good for her. She walked around in bare feet in disgusting places that she could have caught things. She beat people up with an umbrella.
I don't think I've seen that. Britney beating someone up with... I know, like, the head shaving and the bare feet, but...
Yeah, I mean, she became infinitely much more interesting than someone who wore a double denim outfit with her, you know, ramen-head boyfriend. I just think that she wasn't interesting when she was playing the game, and she got more interesting when she bore her soul.
So what Britney became... But what...
Well, she's not now, because, you know, she's... heavily medicated, and that's exactly how her controllers want her. Yeah. She's much more interesting as someone who would be allowed to actually exist and accept that she's probably got some mental health issues. It's perfectly fine. It's very normal.
So kind of, and I agree, I think that is completely normal, but kind of the Britney before that, kind of pre-head shave and that, and this kind of icon of sexualisation of women in the music.
Who was a virgin, by the way, don't forget. She was... The record company were very explicit that Britney was allowed to be a virgin, but we were supposed to buy into the fact that the boy band that, whatever the other guy was from, Timberlake was from, they were all shagging girls every night, even though 3 of them were gay. And they weren't allowed to admit that 3 of them were gay. And it's that kind of weird dichotomy in the music industry. The girl has to be the virgin. But he's supposed to be out there sticking it in anything that will stand still long enough for the 3 minutes.
The girl who's a virgin, that's the chase. It's the it's what men kind of want. It is that, because she was Hit Me Baby One More Time. That was like the schoolgirl.
Allegedly
video,
her idea to come up with the school uniform. And every time you read that bullshit somewhere, you think, okay.
So what do you think that did for women in music? What was that, like 2001?
I think 99, wasn't it? Or something like that. It was around about the late 90s.
Okay. So what do you think that did for women in music?
What, having a 17-year-old dressed up as a schoolgirl allegedly of her own doing in a Catholic schoolgirl's outfit. Didn't do us a lot.
In spite of, and obviously you believe that wasn't her doing, but she's like, oh, this is me, I've done this. Do you think it was empowering to people?
No, I think she was very much handled and controlled, and I think because she wasn't old enough, I think her parents are probably desperate for her to be famous. I don't doubt for one second that she was desperate to be famous as well. There's a lot of that.
Well, she was a child star.
She was on, I think, the Mickey Mouse Club.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
I think the Disney Channel in America has some group activities where I think the ramen dude, Justin Timberlake, and the sexy actor guy who was in, what's his name, Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. Okay.
And then Christina Aguilera. And they were all on the thing. So you get introduced to people at that point. So you start making your way into the movers and the shakers. But what they do, they pretty much ascertain quite quickly, those people, because they're devious and manipulative, and they know that parent will absolutely do anything for their child to jump through the hoops.
And then you get turn of a century, 17-year-old pegged as a virgin, being kind of a sexual icon to the masses. Yeah.
So I don't think that does a lot for us, and I think we got kind of a bit blurry and a bit confused because Madonna smashed so many boundaries by telling everybody to fuck off, which was very interesting and quite exciting for someone like me. She was upsetting the church and upsetting everybody.
Because she released the book, I think it was just called Sex, wasn't it?
Yep, certainly was. I've got a copy of it.
The coffee table book, right?
Great boobs, old Madge. It really has. They are phenomenal.
But that was pretty much immediately banned, wasn't it?
No. I mean, I think you could still probably purchase a copy of it online.
But it was like highly controversial and...
Yeah, but that's ridiculous, right? Why is a woman's body highly controversial? Why can I get to see D'Angelo with his shirt off and it's so low down I get to see whatever that interesting muscle group that I quite like? I mean, why? Why can Robin Williams show his penis in The Fisher King? But why is Madonna's stuff it's that whole thing. It's that dichotomy with how we treat women versus how we treat men. And I, for one, I just don't want to stand for that anymore. And I really genuinely don't want women to stand for that anymore. I don't. If you want to whip your boobs out, they're your boobs. You should be able to do what you want. They're yours.
It's just your anatomy.
It's just boobs, right? And fucking page 3 in The Sun. Does that still go? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't read that. We can assume. We'll make an assumption that page 3, I assume, still goes.
Okay.
It's been there for a time. As long as Rupert Murdoch's had his grubby little hands in our media, page 3 literally termed the first page tits.
And that's what it is, yeah.
And those women have been marginalised because you can't have tits and be smart. You can't be sexy and be smart. And they get quite surprised. But, people write a lot of shit on the internet that was written by a fucking, that was being invented by a woman called Hedy Lamarr. And the reality is that very beautiful, famous German actress invented the basis of the Wi-Fi waveform thing that we use as the internet now. It's thanks to Hedy Lamarr, the fucking woman. But she can't be smart and be beautiful, So, and if you've got someone like Dolly Parton, who is fucking smart, by the way, and she's exceptionally talented, she's forever going to grow up in an industry where she's told she's not good enough. She's not pretty enough, tits aren't big enough, you're not enough.
Well, she's an interesting one, isn't she? Because she's now in that position where she's had these artificial enhancements of a plastic surgery to almost to stay relevant. Like, she's been forced into that, arguably.
But she shouldn't do. We shouldn't be looking at the likes of Priscilla Presley. And women like that shouldn't be forced into turning their faces into some weird fucked up kabuki mask. Should be more Emma Thompson. Should be embracing our wrinkles, embracing our grey hair. We're infinitely a lot more interesting as we're older. And the reason we are that is because we aren't the story that we are at 17. We're on the starting ladder of it. But if we're constantly told that we as women are not enough, we're not enough in this industry, you're not hot enough. I'm so sorry, but at 29 now, no one wants to fuck you. I think we have moved forward as society. I don't want to be so purposefully negative that I don't want to say that we are a lost cause. I think that depends on the outcome of this general election, just whether I actually fully definitively say we're a lost cause.
Well, but we'll wait and see what happens.
I've worked with enough signed artists. I've done enough, touring to know that I see fans. I see those fans. I've seen those fans who followed those people for 30 odd years, 40 odd years. They're brilliant, and I think true good artists will understand that actually it's those people. They made you. They kept you going. They're still keeping you going. And you're not in the charts anymore. For some people, there's a really good example, Belinda Carlisle, right? It's got loads of hits, right?
Yeah.
Loads of great songs, absolute knockout. She is still stunning, and she's not in the charts now. She could still be writing. She's got a great voice. She's got a very unique and quite distinctive voice, but people don't want to fuck her anymore because she's in her 50s. But yet Rick Astley.
Yeah.
Is out there, and it's not to say that neither of them are good. It's just that is the very big difference between the music industry. The man gets older, Harrison Ford can sit on an airplane and fuck a 20-year-old, right? But Madonna, or pick someone.
Yeah, and that's the difference, isn't it? And I think that's what our media drives us to, even to, again, let's ignore the last couple of years, but someone like Johnny Depp, who was doing the Sauvage adverts as a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
But if you put, say, Belinda Carlisle or Madonna, and it's completely different.
Yeah.
And I think it's very true what you said.
It's literally, it's that unfairness. So if we're talking about a woman in the industry is only worthwhile because she's fuckable. And I had this all about Kate as well when she did her gigs in 2014 that I went to see.
Yeah.
Is that, I just want to get that out there. I'm such a fan. I went and saw Kate, yeah. And I cried. I'm not even embarrassed about it in the slightest.
It's fine.
And then I saw
Own it.
Tim McInerney, Captain Darling. Because he was in, obviously, this woman's work. This is our tangent, and I'll come back.
Okay, no, I want to hear about Captain Darling, though.
The one thing my mum says is you don't get better looking as you get older, but you do get smarter. So as we were up there in the after show, and I was desperately trying to wangle my way in to meet Kate, I was like, fuck this, I'm going to meet Kate. I'm stupid enough now that I can try and pull this off. And I'm stood up there, and there's loads of people just meandering around. There's loads of people I recognise, and then I just went, oh, it's Captain Darling! And he turned around, and you could see so polite, so British. And he went, oh, hello. And I went, oh, turned to my friend, and I went, it's Captain Darling, it's Captain Darling. She went, oh. Because she loves Kate Bush, but only the songs she likes, bless her. Which is great. Still love her, that's fine, I'm for it. But she didn't recognise him from this woman's work video, because I don't think she's ever really sat down and saw it, because I think she's just all about listening to the song. Okay. She obviously never watched Blackadder either.
I don't think that's...
She can quote you Faulty Towers, until you turn into Manuel, but she's obviously never watched any of the Blackadders. It was je suis disappointed. I was like, oh, but, and then I went, it's Tim McInerney. And he went, it's actually Tim McInerney, actually. And I went, oh, for the shapes.
Well, I would have said McInerney, same as you.
Yeah.
But then he
so I already just screamed, it's Captain Darling, and then got his name wrong. And then I just thought, well, I might as well go 3 for 3. Can I have a picture taken with you? And he went, yeah, sure, because he's super duper nice. And so I had my picture taken with Tim McInerney. He's probably going to get in touch with me. He goes, fucking McInerney, you twat. And just because, why not? If I had a name that was slightly difficult to pronounce, like Nadie, I would also mess around with people. Not that I do. I'm just pleased to make up my name right.
It's not difficult.
Well, there's a whole other thing with that. But so then I went, what, are you staying? Because I went the last night. So I went, are you staying for the after show? And he went, yeah. And I went, don't suppose you fancy bringing in a rather spirited lady with you? And he went, no, you're quite all right. So I was like, so that's a no then, is it, Captain Darling? So I didn't get to go into that. And then I bumped into the drummer from Kate's gig, who was a session musician from New York. She didn't use Steve Gadd.
Okay.
She didn't.
Wow.
And I can't remember his name, unfortunately. But and then I saw him and I was like, oh, you're amazing. I'm going to fucking chance my arm again, because why not? I
Give it a go, yeah.
talked my way into the backstage of a Whitesnake concert. I think I got this. I've got this. I have not got this. I've just not got this. And he was like, yeah, I'm just getting on a plane. I'm going back to New York and getting the red eye. And I was like, fucking splitter.
So that was it.
So that was my loitering with intent to stay for the after show to meet Kate.
I mean, but it was a good attempt, and you got to meet Captain Darling. So I think that's still a win, and that's still a good anecdote to have.
It was my Facebook photo for quite some time. I was a bit pleased about it. But you know, Kate is obviously, she's gained a little bit of weight. She's got older. She's not the lithe 17-year-old that was prancing around,
of course,
doing her interpretive dance and singing in her lovely, you know, squeaky voice. I like to quote what people say, squeaky voice, because I remember reading an Enemy article, she's got a squeaky voice. I was like, okay, that's the technical term for it, okay.
Yeah, and doesn't sound great, does it, if you say squeaky voice?
Yeah.
It sounds a negative.
They wouldn't say that about, I don't know, Brian Connolly from The Sweet.
Right, yeah.
He probably used to sing all the way up there, right?
Let's talk about Brian Connolly.
Oh yeah, we can talk about Brian Connolly.
Because listening to The Sweet was probably the first band I ever listened, because that was growing up in my house. My mum, it was just whatever it was, the best of Sweet's greatest hits. Boring Blitz, Little Willie, Blockbuster, Fox on the Run. That was the thing that made me want to start playing music, listening to Mick Tucker hit drums. So yeah, tell me about how you worked with Brian Connolly.
Got in touch with this. I've made friends with this guy who was a roadie in the 70s for a few people, and he knew Brian Connolly.
Right.
And so he basically introduced me to Brian, and Brian was, you know, he was in a really bad way, and he was kind of quite great, because you go down the pub and he would tell you all the stories of like him and Bowie and Mark Bolan.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Some really amazing stories that he told, and you would just, you know, he was a mess, but he'd hold court and you'd just sit and he'd listen, and it's quite exciting, because I had no idea the fuck he was, apart from he was the guy that wrote the song that Cassandra, Wayne's girlfriend from Wayne's World, sang.
Mm-hmm. So
I know it's kind of annoying you a little bit, but you know,
no,
again, my perspective on the street was grossly limited. And you would go, you would sit there and you would, like, you know, and you would talk to him, and he would just, you know, walk around telling you about the night Mark Bolan died. He was walking around with a carrier bag full of cocaine.
Brian Connolly was?
Yeah, no, Brian Connolly and Mark were, you know, face deep, like a trough, you know, like a nose bag for a horse. They were face into the bag. But this was, you know, the hedonistic 70s, where I think Freddie Mercury used to have midgets walk around with trays on their heads filled with cocaine. I mean,
wow,
it was a great time to be alive, before all the AIDS came along and ruined it.
I mean, they left that out of Bohemian Rhapsody, didn't they? But
weirdly, they left out quite a lot of the crazy shit that they all got up to. They made out that. Don't get me started on that. But yeah, so, like, you know, and he would tell you all these stories. He'd tell you about the time that Bowie would come down and they'd be, you know, having a little jam and stuff like that. And they were very much not competitors. They were all a part of that glam bubble. But I think by that point, Bowie was all like, fuck this shit, I'm moving to something else. Whereas I think the glam thing didn't do that. I think it was a thing, and, you know, a bit like grunge, it came, it burned bright, it died. That, you know, it's magnesium.
It has its day.
It's had its day, and it doesn't mean that it can't be prone to a revival every now and then. But unlike Bowie, who was the master of, you know, being malleable within the industry and noticing things, and sensibly killed off Ziggy. I think these things are very important. And then he started writing, and he was writing some music for a soundtrack at the studio near Pinewood, and he was starting to write another album. And we were all just sat there going, we're not entirely convinced he's going to actually be able to sing this. And
this is, sorry to interrupt, this is
around about the mid-90s, it's just before he died.
Okay.
And the guitarist friend of mine was playing the guitars and was helping him co-write some of the stuff. And obviously we were all jumping on because of the cachet of Brian Connolly.
Right, yeah.
And then, dead.
That was it.
Dead. He's dead.
And so was that like a surprise to you guys? Because, like, by that time he'd sort of started to deteriorate and wasn't in a good way.
He was just in a perpetual state of fucked. You know, he looked terrible. He was, you know, his body was fucked. I think in many ways Ozzy would still be the same, but Ozzy had better handlers, right?
Wow.
Ozzy had Sharon.
That's the thing. If
Brian didn't.
He didn't have a Sharon.
Didn't have Sharon.
And you see Ozzy now, I mean, like, he's
fucked.
I don't know how Ozzy's still... I've seen Ozzy play a bunch of times, and I have no idea how I don't know how that man's breathing.
Fucked. He's fucked.
Yeah.
He can't not do it, though, because everybody's dependent on him. I sort of... That's kind of a sad state to be in.
Is that where Brian was? Like, people were dependent on him, and he was almost forced to keep going? Like, up until when he died?
I think Brian wanted to genuinely get back on the horse again. I think he'd spent a lot of years in the wilderness being fucked. Okay. And physically being unable to do the job that he once loved and was awesome at. Is
that kind of why the Sweet, and sort of like, because they were 70s, they weren't 80s, was it because of Brian's health? And kind of like the change, like you said, the death of glam. Do you think that had a lot to do with it?
I think Brian, had he not been such a mess with the drink and the drugs, because I don't think it was just the one thing. Because you would have seen Mark Bolan wrap himself around a tree as your friend, and I think that would have straightened out a few people. But I don't know, Brian was just very different. I mean, I didn't know him on a deeply, deeply personal level, I have to be honest, because he held court. He liked to tell stories and regale, and
so you just all listened and just soaked up.
Yeah, and other stuff. I mean, and even some of the artists I work with now still do that, and it's very interesting. I love it, but only a few of them, and I can name a handful of them, which I won't, that will truly, truly delve into the deep stuff that you could genuinely relate to, where you have that moment. Just you two, the last people standing in a hotel room, the end of a night, and there's still a couple of bottles of champagne, so you just sit on the bed, just as mates, chatting. Yeah. You know?
And you find that...
common ground.
Yeah.
Because we're all fucked up, aren't we? We're all... No one gets out of here alive. That's the reality, isn't it? We don't get to our ages by not gaining a couple of scars along the way, and that's the truth.
Do you think... obviously hanging out with kind of some of these guys who are saying, you know, back in the day, back in the crazy 70s, do you think that's shaped you into who you are now, seeing those experiences and listening, you know, being
I'd love to have been around.
Would you?
It's been amazing.
Do all the crazy stuff.
Yeah. Rather than unknown. I mean, I love all of those excessive rock stories. They amuse me.
You must have had a couple as well, though.
Oh, sure.
Is there anything you can kind of, without shooting yourself in the foot or anyone else, but you can give us a couple of examples, or is that off the table?
I've done some stuff. I don't know if I can really repeat stuff I've done. I've lived a life. It's been fun. It's been fun. I wouldn't change a single damn thing. That's the truth. Apart from, I wouldn't have been such a snooty little prick when it came to giving Avril Lavigne my song.
So you didn't want to give...
No.
Okay.
To try it.
Did they take it off you eventually, or did
No.
you sell it?
No. It was my song. I have the rights to still do.
So Avril...
She don't fucking want it now, weirdly.
So
I'll give it to her.
Avril Lavigne wanted your song and you just said
no. I think Avril Lavigne people. I don't think Avril Lavigne went, oh my god, tell her like this. Like, you know, she was a girl and I was a boy. It's not going to be like that. I think
her management, her record company, they
were the ones who approached me, and that's why they dangled the carrot. They were like, oh, we'll sign you, and then you got to lose weight and all that shit. I was like, fuck you.
You know, the only people I really know in the industry now who have to maintain a certain weight is dancers, because of the safety of doing lifts and doing jumps on stage. And if you start production at a certain weight...
Which is bullshit, because muscle's heavier than fat. We all know that. This is a toxic bullshit that's put out there.
Because they say it's for the costumes. It's so...
Yeah.
If a female dancer's jumping... Thing. Right, if a female jumper's dancing, the male jumper has got to know what weight he's catching.
That's fine too. But you know, the other band, you can flip that and go, she's going to eat extra Big Macs this week, gain 10 pounds. You might want to go and do some like dead weights, yeah? Mm-hmm.
So
go and lift a little bit more so that you can get used to catching that extra 10 pounds so you don't throw your back out.
But that doesn't happen, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's the expectancy for the woman to conform to the man rather than the man to conform to the woman.
Yeah, and I know that because I used to dance, so I know that.
Yeah.
You know, my costumes. And I know I've lost jobs because, oh, sorry, we're actually looking for a 12. And I was a 10. I was like, fuck off.
So you weren't, like you said, with was it with Island Records? You were too skinny.
Universal.
With Universal.
Sorry, Universal. I was too fat.
Okay, because you were an 8 before. You're too skinny. Then you get.
No, my label turned to me and said, "This is lovely, but we're starting to do promo stuff now, and we'll be taking photos. There'll be loads of stuff going to press. I think you're a bit thin, and I think you could do with gaining some weight." And all right, I'm going to hold my hands up and say I was going through a very, very stressful time. My relationship was over. My dad had just died.
Mm-hmm.
Now just talked myself into a fucking record deal because I basically laughed at the thought of them signing me for this dreadful shit pop song.
Okay.
Found myself a little bit out of my depth emotionally, not really able to properly deal with it.
And were they looking out for you, you think?
No.
No,
they never do. Because you're not a person. You're potential earnings.
So for young musicians, young female artists who are launching into the industry now, maybe getting record deals, talking to management, how do you think they should approach situations like that when the record labels, like you said, you're a number, they don't care about you. You're not.
They don't care about
you're
you.
not human.
Management don't care about you either. Very rare that you'll get a manager. Don't think we've been led down this stupid alley where, it's that guy from Love Actually, where they end up on Christmas Eve, instead of him going out on John's party, he goes home with his fat useless manager. That shit doesn't happen. Mm-hmm.
So what would you say to young female artists who are facing these scenarios now?
I'd say that this is where you have to really stand up for yourself. You have to be real. Music industry is savage and a bit horrible. Mm-hmm. And the rules that are out there for men are not out there for you. Yeah. And there's a reason why Take That are still touring, and why, I don't know, pick a shitty girl group. Pick one. Not the Spice Girls. Pick another one.
An old one or a current one?
It doesn't fucking matter. Pick one.
So, Little Mix.
Yeah, where are they, by the way? Are they still recording? It's not that I'm really very current with stuff, but are they still recording? Isn't there one of them has been told she's fat, even though she's clearly not fat?
So that's a really interesting thing. They've just put out a documentary.
Oh, okay.
With her, Jessie, I think her name is. It's really brutal because she says how she was on X Factor, and she was shamed as the fat one.
The fat one.
And then she got to something like 8 stone. She was size whatever.
Unhealthily underweight.
And, she had to keep dyeing her hair, putting all the makeup on and everything. Yeah. And she had such hate mail and horrendous stuff. And she just couldn't cope.
Of course she couldn't, because I don't genuinely know a single person that could.
But then you look at someone like, I don't know, say like Sam Smith, Rag and Bone Man.
Rag and Bone Man's got some chonk on him, right?
Exactly. They're guys who are just, they're wow built, they're big lads.
So why is it
actually no, because Sam Smith lost a load of weight as well, I think.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, Rag and Bone Man, let's say Rag and Bone Man.
Yeah.
He's got, like you said, he's chunky, he's got a lot of chunk on him.
Yeah.
He's not.
Is he getting the same abusive shit? No, he's not. Has he gone, and it's 2 minutes to midnight, and now you're 30, Mr. Rag and Bone. I'm so sorry. Young girls no longer wish to fuck you. Please join the queue of the unfuckables, and your career is now over, and we will now be finding your albums available in Poundland.
But then you see, I remember watching a video not long ago with Hank Williams Jr., country artist.
Yeah.
Who's like...
Probably very unfuckable as well. But...
Well, yeah, I mean, he's getting on. He's 60 something, and he's letting himself go or whatever. And his music videos, he's got 20-something-year-old girls dancing around.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know.
Yeah.
What
you look at the backlash on someone like Nicki Minaj, actually, I think one of my biggest bugbears is hip-hop. I particularly dislike the terms that they use. I mean, I've never been a big fan of the N-word, and that's definitely coming from someone who was a huge NWA fan.
Right, yeah.
Because I loved all of that early, like West Coast hip hop.
Such purpose
so
behind
rock and roll, man, it really was, and it was absolute protest music.
Yeah.
I think in that context, for me, it works brilliantly.
Because there's meaning behind it, and you get their sense and their perspective. And I think, obviously, listening to it after it's been out, but having that in the 90s must have been so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you put NWA back in the context when they got that. Shout Out Compton was 89, wasn't it? 89, 90 when that came out.
Somewhere around that, yeah.
And then the LA riots, 92. They burned the fuck out of LA, and
had a big impact.
Had a big impact, but did it? Did it really? Has it transformed black people and how they're treated? It hasn't. And neither has the use of that word, because as hip hop became popular, He basically handed something that was originally a subculture thing back to Whitey. So Whitey then took hold of a load of teenage boys who were now dropping the N-word because for them they felt it was accessible and acceptable to say because it was featured in the music they liked.
That's interesting.
And in the same respect is the the kind of quite pejorative terms of like bitch and hoe and stuff like that. I mean, if you listen to a Tupac song, Do for Love, he uses that Bobby Caldwell tune as a sample. And actually, the things that Tupac's talking about, he's sort of talking about, you did me dirty, you did things. He sort of goes into the explanation of why he doesn't think you're a very nice woman and he doesn't really probably want to be around you anymore. And then you've got all these, you move it forward. It's very, it's very, very disgraceful to talk to a woman, to address a woman with those terms.
So how do you find, and you probably guessed by now I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit on some of this stuff, when you have someone like Nicki Minaj who uses like bitch and hoe in her songs, do you think that's empowering to women?
No.
Like she's reclaimed the word?
No, I don't. I don't think in the same way, and I probably am old-fashioned and someone probably who's far more eloquent than me will be able to come up with a much more considered argument towards it, but I look at that in the exact same way that I look at my mum's generation and they turn around to a woman and go, look at that, it's not a skirt, it's a belt. And I go, what the fuck has it got to do with you, what she's wearing? Let her wear what she wants. Is she happy? She look good? She feel good? Because she don't give a shit whether she looks good or not, because it's all about, do you feel good? That bringing you your stuff? Are you happy? You good? Because otherwise, we're not allowed to have blue hair and nose rings, and you're not allowed to wear your hat and wear your scarf and wear your AC/DC t-shirt and your terrible stained with your lunch jacket. Like these are not the things you're allowed to do. I'm not here for you though, so I'm here for me. So if I want to whip my I appreciate in a college I'm probably not going to be allowed to do that. I also know when things are acceptable.
Okay.
But
time and a place, right?
Yeah. But that whole bitch, ho, bitch, for me it doesn't work because you're now part of the problem. Because we are supposed to be better than that. And I think the one thing that this brilliant Gen Z, even the millennial generation, homosexual person, Becky Marty, but we support women now, we're lifting them. And that's the thing that's really starting to come about. And I'm really for that. More artists like Lizzo. You got my hair done, got my nails done, how you feeling? Feel good as hell. Yeah, crack on. Right. That type of stuff. Because you can be sexy, but your version of sexy and my version of sexy are very, very, very different. Okay. And I also might fancy someone one day, and on another day I'll feel like somebody else. It's a bit fast food, isn't it? Should have a McDonald's or KFC, it's like Burger King or like Wagamama.
So it's all acceptable and it's just preference.
Yeah.
And it's not shaming someone because, like you said, they've got blue hair, they've got nose rings or whatever, and it's...
Because I grew up with that shit. So I grew up with, like, you can't have your nose ring, and I had blue hair, so you can't have your blue hair, and you can't wear your Nirvana t-shirt, and,
Was that from society that was...
Oh, yeah. Okay. And even my mum, like... Remember, she made me take my nose ring out for my own fucking birthday party. I was like, damn it, woman. And I just went, oh. I don't know why, because usually I'd be like, fuck off. For some reason.
You just gave in and just...
Yeah, I don't know. I think she was like, you just won't look good in the pictures or whatever it was. I was 18. I think I'd been fighting with her a lot. And I just thought, I'll give her this one. I don't know. I can't really remember. It was a very blurry time for me, my 18th year. But this is the thing. It's sort of like, if as a rapper you're still allowing the N-word to be prevalent in the words that you say, for me you're just making that denigrating term be acceptable. So in the same way, whether it's a man or it's a woman saying bitch and hoe, I ain't your bitch for a start, so I ain't your hoe. And I wouldn't go up to my female friends and be like, oh, that's slag, because it's just not, I think we've been called that enough. Thanks.
So it's making the word accessible for men and everyone to use. And it's not as if it's not like it's a term of endearment. No, it's not. And you know what it's like if you call your mate whatever name.
Dickhead.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Dickhead.
Yeah, great example.
My friend Katie calls me and she goes, shut up, you dickhead. Kind of quite love it because it's meant with affection. Plus also dickhead. So, if the t-shirt fits. I believe in the freedom of speech. Absolutely believe in the freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what I don't believe in is continuing this ridiculous thought process that all the thing we're good for is sexual shit, that we are to be fucked, we are to be watched, we are to be admired, you are to be young, you are to be pretty, and then you are to fuck off because you're no longer useful for society. Because the truth is, Kylie Minogue got a lot more fucking interesting when she turned 30 than when she was in her 20s.
Okay.
And that doesn't necessarily mean still that I like her, you know, that she's an artist that I would listen to and follow.
But it catches your eye, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's something away from the norm, you know.
It certainly is. And I think that's the thing, you know, like, I'm fine with language. I'm fine with terms. They're fine for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I am fine of keeping my sisters down. So that's just not where I'm fine. And I really feel like I don't know how much place I have in this business anymore. I don't know what I have to say that's relevant. But I am very fortunate to be here to work with young artists, upcoming talent. And I'm planting some seeds. I'm like a fucking farmer. So I'm just scattering my seeds. That sounds weird. Let's not say.
Oh, but you're passing that.
Yeah.
With that colourful analogy. But you're.
Animal seed.
But you're.
Sowing the roots. No, but yeah, I am.
You're imparting that knowledge on the next generation.
No, I'm not. I'm lighting a fire under it and I'm telling them no. So we don't say sorry. You don't say sorry. You don't go up to the guy who's there to help work on your song. And when he's taking over it, he's putting shit in that you don't want in there, and it's starting to go in a completely different way to what you want and how you hear it. Because it's your fucking song. You don't say, sorry, sorry. No. You don't say sorry. And in fact, be my girl here. Never say the word sorry ever again. Remove it from your language. It doesn't exist. If you genuinely feel like you've wronged someone or done something that requires some form of atonement, apologise.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more to it. But I ain't sorry. I'm sorry for sitting here. I'm sorry for shaking shit up. I tried. I couldn't achieve as much as I wanted to. I would have, if I'd have had a platform to shake shit up, trust me, I would have. Now I've got a platform to shake shit up, so I'm shaking it. But I'm not saying sorry for doing it, because I'm doing the thing that my parents' generation should have done for me. Because they were the fucking generation that burnt their bras and got birth control and fucking marched on Greenham Common. You know, that was their generation. They got to divorce. I mean, that was an unheard of thing. Women got to divorce. They got to turn around and go, actually, you're shit. You're terrible. At 16, I didn't know what the fuck I was thinking, and I don't want to be with you anymore. Instead of going, times are different. They make excuses. Well, I'm not making excuses. I don't know another woman of my generation that would. And I'm not the only one. I am not alone in this. If you speak to any one of my friends, and we're all around the same age, we're all Gen X. You know, we are the disaffected youth. We are the ones that were left behind. We were neglected by the boomers. We were. But we still fought. We still laid down some stuff. And I'm not here now to be polite. And I'm not here to be pretty. And I'm not here to be what you want me to be, because I'm not here for you. And that's what I want for them. And it's really sad that for me, it's taken me 20 years to get to this point. I would have liked to really have been there, but I kept getting told by men to fucking play the game, and that's the bad part. And that's really what it comes down to. And I want to be more like Kate. I want to be that 17-year-old, that ingenue stood there in the fucking studio fighting EMI. She's fighting them tooth and nail. And she eventually acquiesces, but only after she meets the session band. That's the only time she's ever turned and gone, fine, I'll do this one little thing for you. And that's why she's a genius. Because at 17, she fucking knew it. Yeah. As did Joni. And that's why. Aretha sadly didn't. And she got fucked over by a lot of men, and she lost a lot of money. And a lot of her rights to her stuff. So I'm telling my girls, it doesn't matter whether you're in that genre or not, but you be more Kate, you be more Joni, you be you. You be unapologetic, and you never say sorry for it, because no one's going to thank you. But one day, my little 7-year-old is going to grow up. She's not not a fucking hobbit. Okay. I mean, she's going to grow up, and you're going to be the thing that she's going to look up to. So I have to do something. Yeah. I have to make sure that she doesn't stand there feeling like she needs to have... You want to have your caterpillar eyes and all stuff. I'm old, so I can't be fucked in the morning to do that.
That's where reality is.
I didn't brush my hair today, to be fair. I took a chance and threw 2 pins in it. That was the best I could achieve at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Monday.
That's
but
fair, yeah.
More power to you. You've got the skills, you can do all of that stuff. But you know what? If you don't have to and you don't want to, you shouldn't have to. Be Alicia Keys. Don't wear makeup. You ain't here for no one. You're here for you. And that's what I want. That's the legacy. If I leave anything, that's the one I'll leave. That's the one I want to leave.
I think that's a really powerful message and a really great message to put out there. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for coming and being on the show, because I really wanted to tap into you and get that honesty.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Did you have kind of as we start to wrap up, like anything you wanted to plug that you're doing in the future, or any kind of last thoughts?
Should have given Avril Lavigne my song. You know,
the one regret from a musical career.
50% of something is 50%. 100% of nothing. I mean, I'm not good at maths, but even I can do that.
But even you.
You know, and that's the thing. I shouldn't have been precious about it. I should have had more faith that I could write more. I think that's the thing, we get fearful. Because we're told we can't. You can't do that.
Well, I think it's nice that you've came to this, I'd say, realisation now that you're writing for you.
Yeah.
And for you alone.
Me alone.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be also one genre as well. I think that was always a thing that, because you know, you can I like Mel, and I like Kate, and I like Aretha, and I like 9 Inch Nails, and I could do a record that could have all of those things, right?
Yeah.
I was told I couldn't.
Right, because you were either a pop artist or you were a singer in a rock band.
Yeah. But we don't like your slightly jazzier song, for God's sake. Why has that song got some jazz influences in it? Well, why the fuck wouldn't it? You know?
That's the thing, and you listen to, like I think we spoke before about, oh my god, what am I going, not Dave Grohl.
Mustaine?
No, fucking Van Halen, I can't believe I'm blanking here.
Oh, David Lee Roth.
David Lee Roth, thank you. Jesus.
Just a gigolo.
Yeah, but
I ain't got no... That's brilliant.
But
great song.
What he came from,
yeah.
And it was, you know, you're the singer of Van Halen, and then you see him do that,
yeah.
And it's like, what? But
he can do that. That's the thing I keep coming back to. He can do that. Mike Patton can do that. Chris Cornell could do that.
Exactly.
All of them could do that. Rick Astley can do that. Rick Astley's got a career. He's got... I go to Sainsbury's and I see his CD.
He's got a big band one now. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know. All great. But where is Belinda? Because I tell you what, my mate's the MD of her band and they're fucking amazing. She's amazing. She's fucking amazing. She looks amazing.
Where is she though? She's not in the
Why
chart,
isn't she releasing music?
Yeah.
She's great. Surely now she's 50 odd. She's got some life thrown at her. She's got some shit to say.
Well, that's when the songs get more interesting, I think, when you kind of, as you draw on your own experiences through having the chain of events, coming out of a relationship, losing your father, and then you're like, oh my god, my songs are just flowing now.
Yeah.
But obviously, all the points we've gone over today.
She's still fuckable, but she's not record A&R fuckable. That's the thing. And that's fundamentally. It's not that I want the record industry to die either. I really, really don't. But I want it to die in its current state. I want it to die in that stupid, you know, this guy's okay, he can continue being a monumental twat. But, you know, look at how Amy Winehouse was treated. You know,
well, this is the thing, because like, you go back a few years ago when obviously the indies were indies and they had some power, but now they've just all been bought up.
Yeah. And
so, you know, obviously we're looking at women here, but then when you... I mean, well, you could tangent on this for hours, but then obviously you put, you know, transgender into it, and everything of it is non-binary.
That's a whole other thing. Yeah. I don't understand these people. Like, every time someone says, like, I suppose you can't mention gender anymore. Well, you can, Nora, if you really fucking want to, love. You're not going to offend me. I'm all right. I identify as a woman, you know, gobby little one as well. But, you know, I am a woman.
Right. I feel like we've tangented
yes,
so
we've
much
gone. I went on a rant. Oh, people! Yes,
great.
I need to have a wee, actually. I'm very much at the point where...
Let's leave it there. Thank you so much for coming.
Please don't put the wee thing on as well. I need to have a wee!